Well, thank you for joining me today and speaking to your experience about SchooLinks. Just to get us started, would you just tell me a little bit about yourself, who you are, your title, and some of the responsibilities you have?
Yeah, so thank you. My name is Amanda Cook. I am the Vail School District lead counselor. So I am in charge of working and supporting all of our counselors K through 12 in all of our schools here in the Vail School District.
Perfect. Can you share a little bit more about Vail, like where you're located, size of your students and your schools?
Yeah, so Vail is located really just south of Tucson. We have a district population of about 15,000 students. We have 22 schools, and we are a high school choice district. So, meaning all of our middle schoolers get to choose which high school they go to.
That's cool. How long have you been using SchooLinks? I forgot to ask.
I believe we are going on 5 years. It's
Oh,
hard to
wow.
believe, but I think
That's
it's 5 years.
great. Well, can you tell me just in the 5 years, kind of what's been the support that you've received since starting to use SchooLinks?
So it's been amazing as far as support. I can tell you, I can email or call our account manager, Sydney, and she is on it and fixes whatever I need. She is my go-to with whatever it is. If not, she introduces me to a new person on her team that can help support me with it if it's something specific. But the support along the way has always been spot on with providing what we need, or also encouraging us to try different pieces of SchoolLinks.
That's great. I know I work with Sydney on the customer success team, and she's always had such great things to say about everybody at Vail too.
Oh, thanks.
Um, are there anything just about the product itself and using SchoolLinks that you found to be like a game changer for your students or your community?
I think the biggest game changer is the college application manager and the ability for students and counselors to manage scholarships. It just brings it all in house, and our counselors can really truly support our students in their college process, whether it's applying and discovering which colleges there are that meet their needs, or really walking through the student of the steps. In the college application process, and then most recently also tracking the FAFSA completion as well, because that is part of our state's CCRI data. And so just the ability to bring everything together into one system has been huge.
That's fantastic to hear. Did you use a platform before you moved over to SchoolLinks a few years ago? And if you did, how was it?
So we used the state system. It was AZCIS, and to be honest, it wasn't the most user-friendly system. It didn't track students' data as far as the ability to export for what we needed it. Students' information to get in was hard to track. Login information was hard to use, and so the that when we were told that we had the possibility of switching, all of the counselors were on board 100% with exploring what was out there.
That's great. Did you evaluate other platforms too?
Yes, we had
Yeah.
to go through a request, or what is it, request for purchase process, RFP. And so I think, explored two or three other platforms, and then ended up choosing SchoolLinks because it met all of our identified target goals.
That's fantastic. Along those lines, I know I just spoke with a few districts over at the Arizona School Counselor Association who are kind of in the process right now of deciding if they want to switch either from the state solution to something different. Given that you went through that experience, what advice do you have for districts who are kind of considering switching to SchoolLinks?
So one of the pieces of advice I would give is to bring a team together of counselors, and administrators from across all of your high school sites that will be using it, and come up with what is it that you want the system to be able to do for you. That's something that we did, and it really helped us narrow down which of the products that are out there would meet our needs versus which just looked shiny and pretty. And I think that by doing that and going through the process of kind of vetting and test driving and all of that with the different products, it really helped us to figure out, okay, does this meet our need? Does it not meet our need? What else could it do? And we haven't been afraid to ask that of SchoolLinks. And literally every single time we say, can it do this? They say yes. And that's one thing that we've loved about it.
Glad it's been flexible to meet you guys' needs. Like I know that every district's a little unique, and something we try to do is meet you wherever you are. Like
Mhm.
every district's going to have a different population, everyone's going to have different requirements. So glad that we've been able to support you with where you are.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to switch a little bit just to talk about, the Education and Career Action Plan. It's a requirement for the state of Arizona. Can you share more about the state requirement for what students are expected to do for their ECAP?
Yeah, so it's a 4-year plan that students really explore throughout their time in high school that has them set goals about academics, their career, their extracurricular, and then their post-secondary. And within that, the idea is to really explore what they want to do during their time in high school as far as academics, and then really teach them to document their extracurricular activities onto something like a resume, and then explore their post-secondary options. It's not always college, but it may be college and career. It also may be going into the workforce, but really making sure that all of our students, when they graduate high school, have some sort of plan that helps them to achieve whatever their goal is after graduation.
I hear so many states too are adopting some form of a 4-year, multi-year plan for that holistic planning of student readiness. Before you guys were moving over to SchooLinks, how were your schools going through that process then?
So prior to SchooLinks, it was very individualized by school, and the processes across the schools looked very different. And some were robust, and some were just barely meeting needs. But it was very sporadic as far as meeting the needs of the state. And the one thing that we really appreciated with SchooLinks is it allowed us to set a district-wide scope and sequence that said, here are the minimum targets that we need to meet that meets the state requirement for the ECAP. In addition to that, though, it also allows our schools to also maintain their uniqueness in how they support their students. So some of our schools go really in depth because they have the ability to, and some of the schools use it in a different method and a variety of ways. And so it allows for that customization in addition to meeting the minimum.
That's great. I know just in talking with some school counselors across the state last week, many were asking questions about what the process looks like for doing ECAP, kind of from start to finish. Like you mentioned, you have a scope and sequence, which is essentially like your framework for how you have students complete activities. But once your students do those, what does like the data process look like for you all?
Can we pause for a minute?
Sure.
Okay. What do you mean by data process?
Just that question I asked beforehand about how do you share that information with the state?
Okay, so the end reporting process.
Yeah, like you mentioned, you share with them the scope and sequence or your calendar, and then the rest of that.
Sorry.
I'm just going to ask it again if that's okay.
Yep.
So what does the process look like now that you're using SchooLinks from when students do their activities to how you share that data out?
Yeah, so SchooLinks really helped us to understand what the end product looks like. So each of our students has the ability to has a student portfolio that is the culmination of all of the activities done within SchooLinks. And so that essentially is their ECAP plan. And so as the person that uploads it to the state system, I just go in and select a student. I download their personalized plan portfolio, and then I black out all of their personal identification information. And then I also download our scope and sequence, and then I upload that to the state system, and that satisfies our compliance with ECAP.
That's great. I know I've heard lots of questions about that process, so thank you for clarifying it.
Yeah.
How do you think it's actually helped your students now? Obviously, the student is the whole purpose why we're all here. How do you think that now using SchooLinks, has it helped them see and understand the process better?
I do think it's helped them. I think that our sites have the ability to communicate in more than one way with our students. So I have counselors at sites that send out information on college rep visits, or information on when the military recruiters are in, or information on college nights that are here within the Tucson area. All in a way to bring awareness to what's available to the student and their family. And then within the system itself, we have the ability to also upload specific school-specific documents too that help support the school itself, as well as encouraging students to, hey, you just did this assessment and it showed that you're really interested in, let's say, the arts. Have you considered this pathway, or have you considered this scholarship? The scholarship matching has really been one of the big ticket items that our counselors have gravitated towards this year, just because each year we've kind of been learning more and more. But the scholarship matching has the ability to show you the students that are qualified for that scholarship, so then our counselors can push the scholarship specific to those groups of students, as well as highlight different colleges that are available. Our reps can also post information to SchooLinks so that students can specifically see. And so it really just brings the awareness to the whole school, which has been really awesome.
You just like named everything all at once. It was great. So from the student side, then the staff perspective, we're trying to help improve the efficiencies so that educators can spend more time with their students. How do you feel like SchooLinks has helped benefit your staff?
It's hard to put it into words. It just has. I think our staff just really appreciate that from a district level, I can put in district things so that way they don't have to. And then from a site level, they can input different site specific events that help to streamline processes, whether it's registration, whether it's college rep visits, military rep visits, college event nights, elective fairs, everything like that is just kind of housed in one area. That just makes it easily accessible by all of our students and their families.
That's great. Last question here is just to think ahead. What are some of the goals that you have for the next few years?
So we actually just implemented SchooLinks in our middle school level as well to help with that career exploration. So we just trained specific site people to help spearhead that initiative at our middle schools to really bring career exploration. And so we're hoping to grow that over the next year to 2 years to really have a solid foundation for career exploration at the middle school, so that once they get to high school, that ECAP process isn't something brand new to them, but they're used to the language and the lingo and can really dive in and have, really good conversations with their counselor, with the college reps that come to visit, or the military recruiters, or when we have career fairs. They really have an idea of, I've been doing this for a couple years now. I really want to target and hone in on whatever their passion may be.
That's great. It sounds like you're expanding, which is fantastic. Great. Well, that was all the questions I had. Thank you so much for your time. I know that everyone that watches this is going to benefit from the experience you've had. So thank you for sharing it.
Absolutely.